Hey everyone. Welcome to AfriHeart STORIES, your go-to spot for African tales. Don't forget to like, subscribe and drop a comment. Now sit back and enjoy. It is 8:45 a.m. in a crowded Lagos family court hallway. Kola Adeyemi, flashy real estate developer, cuff links glinting, paces and checks his Rolex every 10 seconds. He's certain today's divorce decree will be a formality, a clean break, an easy settlement he negotiated behind his wife's back. Next to him, Zanab, the perfectly manicured executive assistant everyone but Kola's wife knows is his lover, scrolls Instagram and jokes that she'll post a celebratory reel after court. Meanwhile, whispers ripple as courthouse staff keep glancing toward the entrance. A security detail, a traffic holdup, a limousine idling at the curb. Kola shrugs it off. His wife, Naomi, has always been understated. She'll arrive in an Uber with her junior lawyer, sign the papers and leave. But the bailiff announces a 10-minute delay. Naomi's counsel has filed a motion. Tension thickens. Kola hisses at Zanab to stay calm. She's powerless, he mutters. Yet his palms sweat. A journalist recognizes him and asks for comment on rumors of asset concealment. Kola barks, no comment, but the seed is planted. Through a quick flashback montage, viewers learn he once sold Naomi on a frugal lifestyle while secretly funneling profits to offshore accounts, promising Zanab a mansion once the legal stuff ends. The ticking clock motif begins, 10 minutes to hearing. Outside, the limousine door hasn't opened, but Naomi's confidential investigator live streams the arrival for social media, teasing, "Watch the tables turn." Zanab's curiosity flickers. She leans in. Kola, still dismissive, mutters, "She'll be early." She always is. Over the PA, a clerk calls for Barrister Tunde Onuyudo's clients. Zanab glances at Kola's suit, telltale smudges of yesterday's dinner. Kola notices and curses under his breath. The hallway door opens, but behind it floats a hush. Not Naomi but her head of security, two burly women in suits. Zanab's phone buzzes with comments. Is that Naomi? Kola straightens, barking at his lawyer, "Lock it down." No surprises. His lawyer just raises an eyebrow. When the bailiff calls again for Mrs. Adeyemi, Zanab stammers, then steadies herself. Kola grips her arm. The courthouse doors swing open. He forces a confident stride, but inside, doubt cracks his composure. At precisely 9 a.m., the limousine door opens. A hush falls as Naomi steps onto the courthouse steps in a tailored white pantsuit with subtle gold piping, powerful, serene, nothing like the modest teacher Kola thinks he discarded. Camera phones flash. Two female bodyguards flank her. She carries no purse, only a leather folio stamped with the crest of Nigeria's top forensic accounting firm. Courthouse gossip surges. Why does she need security? Kola's swagger falters. He drags Zanab behind a pillar, suddenly conscious of smudged lipstick on his shirt collar. Naomi's new lawyer, Barrister Tunde Onuyudo, famous for dismantling billion-naira shell schemes, joins her. They ignore reporters until a female journalist calls. "Mrs. Adeyemi, is it true you'll be countersuing?" Naomi smiles, voice calm. "Watch the hearing, the truth deserves a proper stage." Inside, the judge's clerk informs Kola that today's session will begin with Naomi's evidentiary motion. Kola, blindsided, accuses his own lawyer of incompetence. The lawyer warns him that any undisclosed assets are now fair game. Zanab's facade cracks. She stammers that she left sensitive emails on Kola's shared laptop. A quick flashback shows her forwarding balance sheets at 3 a.m., thinking she was deleting them afterward. The courtroom doors swing open. Kola approaches the bench, trying to regain composure, while Naomi sits, composed, reviewing her folio. Barrister Onuyudo leans in to whisper, "You realize this changes everything." Naomi nods silently. Zanab squeezes Kola's hand. He barely feels it. Outside, a drone camera pans down the steps. Naomi's arrival is already trending. As opening arguments begin, Kola's mind races. Who is this woman who shows up not meek but armed? And what secret lies in that leather folio that will strip him of everything? Rewind to 2020. Newlyweds Naomi and Kola toast plastic cups of palm wine on the balcony of their fixer-upper flat. Naomi, then a public school teacher, sketches their shared dream: open a tutoring center and reinvest profits in community housing. Kola nods lovingly, but behind her back he texts a broker about a luxury beachfront plot. Early cracks appear when Kola insists Naomi sign powers of attorney to simplify paperwork. She does, trusting love over legal caution. Over the next 2 years, Kola's real estate projects boom while Naomi's paychecks keep the household afloat and their orphan niece, Saad, in school. Subtle gaslighting begins. Kola calls Naomi too soft for business lunches, hosts investor dinners without her. One evening at a rooftop gala, Naomi overhears him brag about keeping liabilities low. She laughs it off, until she discovers he secretly remortgaged their house to fund a high-rise. The camera lingers on her stunned face as she reads the mortgage statement, foreshadowing her awakening. Back in the present courtroom, that memory sharpens Naomi's resolve. This isn't just a divorce. It's a reckoning for betrayal and stolen dreams. Enter Zanab Musa, 26, social media strategist turned executive assistant. Through alternating vlog-style glimpses, we watch her graduate from copying Kola's emails to lounging with him at rooftop bars. Zanab's ambition isn't love, it's validation. #manifesting luxury tags flood her feed. She convinces Kola that divorcing Naomi quickly will safeguard his reputation ahead of an IPO. In private, Zanab Googles fastest way to marry a Nigerian millionaire, rehearses public statements. I supported him through darkness. But cracks widen. Zanab hates that Naomi still runs the family charity the press adores. At a school fundraiser, Zanab accidentally bumps into Naomi. Naomi offers her a cupcake. The camera holds on their silent glare, two women who know too much about Kola's weakness. Naomi's instincts scream betrayal when she finds a hotel receipt in Kola's coat. Rather than confront him, she hires retired detective Aisha Bello for covert phone forensics. Aisha installs a benign budgeting app on Kola's phone that secretly mirrors his messages. Over a month, Naomi amasses damning screenshots, offshore transfers, voice notes calling her dead weight, a group chat plotting to declare her mentally unwell. Devastated, she cries, but Aisha whispers, "Don't break. Build leverage." They copy everything to an encrypted drive. Aisha introduces Naomi to barrister Anuyudo, who warns, "Stay quiet until we trace all assets worldwide." The chapter ends on Naomi's shaky smile as she whispers, "Let him think he's winning." Naomi arrives at the forensic accounting firm just after dawn. In the conference suite, forensic accountant Mr. Obiora spreads color-coded flowcharts across a long mahogany table. Shell companies registered in Dubai, art NFTs transferred to anonymous wallets, and cryptocurrency hidden under employee aliases leap off the diagrams. Naomi's pulse quickens as Obiora traces a 150 million Nigerian nairas diversion, funds originally earmarked for her tutoring center expansion, into a corporate veil that names Zanab Musa as beneficiary. Throughout the day, Naomi pores over spreadsheet rows and PowerPoint slides, her eyes red from sleepless nights. She records short, evidence vlog clips on her phone, addressing a future audience. This isn't just numbers. It's the foundation of my life, stolen. Each clip lands on her encrypted drive, forming a digital ledger of betrayal. Between data dives, she steels herself with sips of bitter tea, determined to wield these figures not as weapons, but as undeniable proof in court. Meanwhile, Kola lounges poolside at his penthouse, taking a victory lap, unaware that Naomi's silent operation already threatens his empire. He boasts to a celebrity journalist about transparent leadership, and teases the IPO launch date. A social media manager whispers to Zanab, "Boss, your wife is trending again." She dismisses it, but the panic behind her smile is unmistakable. Back at the firm, Naomi's lawyer, barrister Anuyudo, greets her with a sly nod. He slides a thick file across the table, copies of bank compliance reports flagging unreported liabilities. By the time the judge sees this, he says, "Your ex will wish he'd settled honestly." Naomi allows herself a small, triumphant smile. Later that evening, she uploads a redacted evidence teaser to a private press group. Headlines flash, Adeyemi's missing 150 million Nigerian nairas, what Mrs. Adeyemi knows. Kola's social media team scrambles to issue denials. At home, Naomi tucks Saad into bed and kisses her forehead. "Tomorrow," she whispers, "we even the score." As she turns off the lights, a notification buzzes on her phone, Kola's IPO roadshow postponed. Naomi exhales. The walls of his ivory tower are cracking, and she holds the blueprints to the collapse. Kola storms into the boardroom of Adeyemi Holdings, a skyscraper's worth of glazed windows behind him. Charts predicting a 300% stock boost after the IPO cover the walls. He paces before a half-circle of eager investors, slick in tailored suits. Zanab hovers near the presentation clicker, ready to film, "A Day in My Billionaire Life," for Instagram stories. He begins, voice confident. Today we redefine real estate in Africa. Behind him, drone footage of his new penthouse and planned high-rise eloquently illustrate his vision. Investors murmur approval, cameras flash. Yet in the recessed corner sit two compliance lawyers with grim expressions. One taps out a text, missing 50 million Nigerian nairas line item. Need explanation. Kola delivers polished answers about quarterly write-offs and market adjustments, but the lawyers exchange glances. Unbeknownst to Kola, Naomi's team has alerted regulators to his unreported liabilities. An email alert pings on the compliance officer's screen, initiate investigation. The officer quietly stands, leaving the boardroom. Minutes later, she returns escorted by a stern-faced official. He asks for an unscheduled audit of Adeyemi Holdings' ledgers. The room's energy shifts, investors stiffen, glancing at one another. Zanab fumbles with her clicker, accidentally projecting an internal memo, Shellco XYZ, offshore transfer pending. The screen flickers. Kola's face blanches. He snaps it off, but the damage is done. A hush falls. Questions ripple through the room. Is Adeyemi hiding liabilities? Kola recovers, attributing it to a technical glitch. But his overcorrection, an abrupt, next slide, signals panic. That evening, Naomi reviews social media sentiment. #Adeyemi abort trending alongside #Team Naomi. Her phone buzzes again. Headlines reporting the IPO postponement pending a regulatory probe. She leans back in her chair, bracelets tinkling, and whispers to Saad on video call, "Guess who's calling the shots now?" Saad giggles. Naomi smiles, eyes fierce. The IPO illusion has just become his greatest downfall. At 7 a.m., Saad rehearses her lines for a school debate on ethics and leadership. Naomi sits beside her, offering gentle corrections. Emphasize empathy, she advises. Later, Naomi's lawyer drafts a child custody response. Kola's plan motion to allege Naomi's unstable finances will fail when his long absences and neglect are exposed. Naomi gathers affidavits from Saada's teachers, church leaders, and neighbors, each praising her as devoted and stable. She compiles them alongside recent transcripts showing top academic performance. In a montage, we watch her organize binders while Saad packs a lunch, plantain wraps, peppered eggs, their shared ritual. When Kola's lawyer submits the custody motion, Justice Okoro sets a hearing date 2 weeks before the divorce trial. Public opinion already sways. #LetNaomi Parent trends on Twitter. In the courthouse cafeteria, Kola attempts to bribe Saada's debate coach with 200,000 Nigerian nairas for a favorable character affidavit. The coach, appalled, records the offer and immediately forwards it to Naomi's investigator. At home that night, Naomi watches the recorded coach confession, voice trembling with quiet triumph. She texts Barrister Onuyudo, "We have everything." Clutching her leather folio, she promises Saad, "No one will undermine you." Saad smiles, unaware of the battle lines drawn. Outside, the city hums. In little Saada's future, all roads now lead through her mother's unwavering strength. 1 week before the trial, Kola slips into the family home to grab suits. The hallway is silent, too silent. He finds Naomi in the kitchen, serving plantain pancakes to Saad and Detective Aisha Bello. Warm morning light dances on polished counters. Naomi greets him with a measured calm. "Coffee?" she offers. He accepts, tension knotted in his shoulders. Over steaming cups, Naomi casually mentions her upcoming panel on corporate integrity at the Lagos Business Forum. She displays her MBA certificate, sponsored by an NGO impressed by her charity work. Kola's hand shakes as he pours milk. He tries to steer conversation to the IPO postponement, but Naomi deflects with concise facts about regulatory protocols. Detective Aisha observes, eyes sharp. She notes Kola's hesitation when Naomi references offshore accounts. Saad bounds in, backpack slung over one shoulder, oblivious to the shift. Kola watches mother and daughter share a laugh, an ease he hasn't felt in years. He glances at Barrister Onuyudo's sedan parked outside. Panic coils in his chest. Naomi offers Kola a final piece of toast, a silent reminder that she still cares for his well-being, even as she dismantles his schemes. Kola nods, voice barely a whisper, "Good breakfast." He retreats, shoulders hunched, keys rattling. The power inversion is complete. The house, once his domain, now belongs to a woman who built her strength in every quiet moment. At the door, Kola turns back. Naomi meets his gaze, steel in her eyes. No words pass, none are needed. Outside, cameras catch the tableau, #BreakfastBoss trending within minutes. Viewers witness the moment patriarchy crumbles beneath maternal grace. Late that night, under neon city lights, Zanab paces atop Kola's rooftop terrace. A champagne flute shatters against the glass railing. She confronts him, "You promised me a ring before the ink dries." Kola, hungover and hollow-eyed, replies, "I'm cash-strapped until the IPO clears." Zainab's manicured nails dig into the railing as she realizes the penthouse is mortgaged. Her influencer facade cracks. "You used me," she hisses. A sudden wind whips her hair. City sounds echo below. She brandishes her phone. "I know things about your secret transfers, the forged documents. I'll leak it if you don't protect me." Kola recoils, voice low. "You'd ruin me?" He lunges, attempting to wrest the phone away. They struggle, her heels clatter across marble tiles. In the scuffle, her phone teeters on the edge, screen flickering. Zanab freezes, terror and defiance in her eyes. Below, a drone camera captures every moment. Zanab swallows hard and straightens. She whispers, "Fine. But remember, I have my own leverage." She backs away, pressing a final button on her phone. Someone's come online, #Zanab speaks trending already. Kola collapses onto a chaise, burying his face in his hands. Zanab strides to the terrace door, stops and looks back, defiant, shattered, reborn. She steps inside, vanishing into the corridors of the building, one less ally in Kola's crumbling world. As the drone retreats, the city skyline remains indifferent. But for Kola, the Mistress has escaped, and the narrative no longer follows his script. The rooftop becomes a prison of his own making, and Zainab's meltdown signals the beginning of his true unraveling. 8 months before the divorce filings, Naomi quietly incorporated Deceit EdTech under her maiden name, an online platform offering affordable exam prep apps, live tutoring and interactive study tools. At 10 p.m. most nights, she sat on the living room floor, laptop on her knees, headphones on, coding features by flashlight when Saad slept. Her sister's old desk lamp cast warm circles on her notebook, where she sketched user interfaces and partnership paths. Between keystrokes she whispered to herself, "Education for all," and pressed on. One evening, as rain pattered against the window panes, her phone buzzed. It was Aisha Bello, her former detective-turned-business mentor. "Naomi, Telecom One is interested. They want to discuss data sponsorship." Naomi's heart thundered. She wiped her palms on her trousers and dialed the number provided. The next morning, she sat in a bright conference room at the Telecom's Lagos headquarters. Across the table sat Mr. Obafemi, the Chief Partnerships Officer, and 2 marketing directors. Obafemi smiled, adjusting his glasses. "Your vision aligns with our CSR goals," he said. "We can offer zero-rated access to Deceit for our subscribers in rural areas." Naomi nodded, voice steady but excited. "With free access, students can download materials even without airtime. It levels the playing field." The marketing directors exchanged impressed glances. Within the hour, they drafted a term sheet, a 25 million Nigerian naira sponsorship spread over 6 months, plus promotional support on their homepage. That afternoon, Naomi called Saad into her study. The 14-year-old bounced in, schoolbag in hand. "Guess what?" Naomi said, handing her a letter. Saada's eyes widened as she read, "Deceit selected for Tech Women's Accelerator Program in Nairobi." She threw her arms around Naomi. "You did it, Mama," she cried. Naomi hugged her tight, whispering, "We did it." Late that night, Naomi uploaded new code to the Deceit servers and documented her progress in a private vlog. Chapter 11, Part 1, Data Partnerships. Chapter 11, Part 2, Accelerator Acceptance. She narrated line items, user metrics, projected revenue, testimonial quotes from pilot students in Kaduna. Every clip landed on her encrypted drive, destined for courtroom exhibits. During this period, Kola celebrated the Adeyemi Holdings IPO preparations with champagne toasts at rooftop galas. Unaware that his ex-wife's valuation now rivaled his own net worth, he boasted on social media, "The market's about to witness a real estate revolution." Meanwhile, Deceit's beta testers posted glowing reviews, "Finally, quality tutoring at our fingertips," and "affordable, intuitive, life-changing." By the time Naomi signed the final accelerator contract, Deceit's valuation approached 200 million Nigerian nairas. She slipped the contract into her leather folio the night before the divorce hearing, confident. As she closed her laptop, she spoke to the silent room, "Let them see who really built something here." In her rented studio apartment, Refurbished into an impromptu war room, Naomi illuminated the skyline with her resolve. Her secret venture was now her greatest weapon. The night before the hearing, Lagos thunderstorm rolled in. Naomi sat at her dining table under a single lamp, surrounded by open binders, manila folders and glowing laptop screens. Detective Aisha Bello had supplied a USB labeled "Insurance" containing Zanab's cloud backups. Voice memos mocking Kola's obsession with status, late-night video calls plotting asset concealment, and spreadsheets revealing offshore transfers. Barrister Tund Onuyudo leaned across the desk, assembling the final exhibits. "Everything is here," he said, tapping the USB connector. "We'll file these tomorrow morning before the judge. When he sees your evidence, he won't know what hit him." Naomi nodded, fatigue lining her features. Saad poked her head in, clutching a worn teddy bear. "Mama, will you be okay tomorrow?" she asked quietly. Naomi set aside a folder and pulled Saad onto her lap. "I will," Naomi whispered, smoothing Saad's hair. "Because I'm doing this for us." Saad hugged her tight, eyes brimming. Across the room, the low hum of her laptop signaled an unread email. "IPO delayed indefinitely, regulatory probe initiated." Naomi allowed herself a small smile. Meanwhile, Kola sat alone in his penthouse study, glass of whiskey in hand, rereading his prepared testimony. Zainab's texts pinged relentlessly. "Are you sure about this?" "I need assurances." He ignored them. He practiced his lines before a mirror. "I never intended to hurt anyone. Naomi was always my partner." His reflection looked hollow. He drained the glass and stared out at the city lights, rain streaking the windows like tears. Back at Naomi's townhouse, Onuyudo stood and stretched. "Rest," he urged her. "We meet again at 6:30 a.m. He gathered the binders into a briefcase and exited. Naomi remained under the lamp's glow, whispering to her laptop camera, "Tomorrow the truth takes the stage." At midnight she powered down, setting alarms for 5 a.m. In her dreams she marched across a courtroom floor, folio in hand, eyes blazing. Somewhere in that dream she heard Zainab's recorded voice. "He won't see this coming." Lightning flashed across the sky, her personal signal that the storm she'd orchestrated was ready to break. At 6:30 a.m. on hearing day, Naomi's driver quietly opened the limousine door. Inside she slipped into her white and gold suit, the same one that had announced her arrival weeks ago, and pinned on a courage brooch that Saad had gifted her. Barrister Onuyudo's team coordinated via headsets, checking courthouse security cams. Detective Aisha stood by the foyer door with a memory stick of Zainab's recordings. As the limo glided through Victoria Island, drone cameras already streamed the real-time feed to TikTok. "Naomi's Phoenix ride," viewers typed in the comments. A hush spread among followers, comparing her ascent to a CEO's commute rather than a defeated wife's. Meanwhile, Kola overslept. His alarm shrieked at 6:45. Zainab burst into his master bedroom in yesterday's dress. "We're late," she hissed. He blinked at the ceiling, disoriented. "The hearing's in 15 minutes, she reminded him, rummaging through his closet. He threw on a crumpled suit jacket over pajama pants and stumbled out. Zainab grabbed his arm. "You can't go like that." He shrugged her off, spilling coffee in his lap. In the limousine, Naomi reviewed her notes in calm whispers. Exhibits A through Z, witness list, closing demands. Aisha loaded backup slides into the memory stick. Onuyudo checked his watch. Exactly 9 o'clock. Naomi's heels clicked against the courthouse steps as she emerged, mirroring her earlier entrance but now with purpose instead of surprise. Inside, Kola burst through the doors, breathless. Reporters asked for comments. He forced a confident smile. Naomi met his gaze across the foyer. No words passed but the air crackled. As the bailiff called both parties to the courtroom, Naomi mouthed, "This is our moment." Kola's hand twitched at his pocket, fingers brushing the non-existent assurances Zainab had promised. When the doors closed behind them, viewers online leveled their phones at the livestream. Comments scrolled, "She owns that court. Wait for the reveal." The stage was set. At that precise moment, Naomi's limousine, her symbol of rising power, vanished from the feed, replaced by her poised figure ascending the bench. The long-awaited battle had begun. In the judge's chambers, Barrister Onuyudo filed a motion amending Naomi's petition to include claims for fraud, emotional distress and restitution of educational funds. Kola's lawyer, Mr. Dada, protested vehemently, "Your Honor, this is outside the original divorce scope." The judge, a stern woman with silver-streaked hair, tapped her gavel. "Overruled. The motion stands." Back in the courtroom, spectators murmured as Anuyudo presented the first exhibit. A stamped bank compliance report verifying forged signatures and unreported liabilities. The clerk handed printed copies to the judge, Kola and Dada. The judge scanned the pages, eyebrows knitting. Before Dada could object, Anuyudo signaled the tech assistant to cue a video clip, Zanab's recorded voice mocking Kola's concerns. From the bench, the judge asked, "Mr. Adeyemi, care to explain?" Kola's mouth went dry. He shifted in his seat, stammering, "These recordings, they're doctored." Anuyudo rose, voice calm but firm, "My client authenticated them with digital forensic experts." The judge nodded to the clerk, who played the clip, Zanab's laughter echoing, "He give me anything I want, just say the word." Gasps echoed in the gallery. Dada pushed to exclude the clip as hearsay. The judge paused, then ruled, admissible under the fraud exception. Anuyudo moved swiftly to the next exhibit, flowcharts of shell companies and cryptocurrency trails. The courtroom lights dimmed as a projector revealed each layer of Kola's hidden empire. Kola's face paled against his dark suit. Zanab, seated 2 rows back, sank lower into her chair. Naomi sat upright, eyes bright, absorbing every detail. When the hearing adjourned for recess, whispers filled the air. "He's toast, Naomi's going to win big." Outside, journalists tweeted live updates, and the hashtag forged love trended nationally. Kola retreated to a side hallway, shoulders slumped. Dada approached, voice low, "We need to settle." But Kola only shook his head, mouth pressed into a thin line. He texted Zanab, "Call me now." Meanwhile, Naomi convened with Anuyudo and Aisha, reviewing exhibits for the final rounds. The motion to amend had shifted the battlefield, no longer just divorce but full accountability. During the mid-morning recess, Zanab slipped into the courthouse ladies' lounge. She closed the door and dialed a top gossip blogger, her voice trembling, "I have exclusive dirt on Kola, offshore accounts, forged docs, everything." She offered confidential footage for 5 million Nigerian nairas, begging for image rehab. Unbeknownst to her, Detective Aisha and Barrister Anuyudo had placed a discreet recording device in the lounge. Moments later, Anuyudo and Aisha entered the lounge, faces unreadable. Zanab froze mid-sentence, eyes wide. Anuyudo cleared his throat, "Ms. Musa, thank you for your cooperation." Zanab's jaw dropped. "What, how did you?" Anuyudo held up his phone, "Your call is Exhibit P15. Back in the courtroom, Dada turned to Kola, "She's missing." Kola's brow furrowed. The bailiff announced resume. Anuyudo stood, addressing the judge, "Your Honor, I move to admit Exhibit P15, a recording of Ms. Zanab Musa offering to betray Mr. Adeyemi in exchange for personal gain." The judge nodded. The recording played. Zainab's own words sealed her fate. Zanab entered late, cheeks flushed. She avoided Kola's gaze as the gallery watched in stunned silence. The judge asked her to take the stand. Under oath, Zanab confessed, "I was afraid of losing everything. I thought I could negotiate." She crumpled in her chair, tears streaming. Newspapers capturing the scene published headlines, "Mistress turns informant, Zainab's bitter bargain." Kola sat slumped, helmeted by defeat. Naomi watched from across the aisle, expression unreadable. As recess ended, cameras swarmed the courthouse exterior. Zanab emerged, flanked by paparazzi, and tearfully declared, "I'm sorry." Her taxi arrived, she climbed in, disappearing into traffic. For viewers, the mistress's abandonment fulfilled the title's promise. Zanab had jumped ship, leaving Kola to face Naomi's perfected case alone. In the courtroom, only 5 chapters remained, but already the unthinkable had happened. Kola stood stripped of allies and Naomi held every card. The war had turned decisively in her favor. On the morning of the evidentiary hearing, the courtroom fell into an expectant hush as Barrister Tund Anuyudo summoned his first exhibit. Detective Aisha Bello's meticulous multimedia presentation illuminated screens around the bench. High-resolution flowcharts layered shell company structures across geographic maps, each node pulsing to represent offshore accounts. Animated lines traced cryptocurrency conversions funneling funds from Adeyemi holdings to anonymous wallets. Time-stamped voice memos played through discreet speakers. Kola's own voice plotting to declare Naomi mentally unfit. Kola Adeyemi sat rigidly at the defense table, knuckles white as he gripped the edge of the polished oak. His absence at Sada's debate, his forged hotel receipts, and every secret moment lay exposed for public record. He glanced at Zainab's empty seat in the gallery. His mistress had vanished, leaving him defenseless. His lawyer, Mr. Dada, muttered counsel under his breath, urging caution, but the avalanche of proof thundered on. The judge, her gaze steely behind thin-rimmed glasses, called for silence. Mr. Adeyemi, she intoned, explain this 150 million Nigerian nairas transfer disguised as charitable contributions. Kola's throat worked, sweat dotted his temple. He swallowed hard, voice cracking. Your Honor, these documents are. Onuyuru rose, silhouette commanding. Your Honor, I present Exhibit 16B, authenticated bank compliance records from 2 international regulatory agencies, confirming the authenticity of these transactions. We also have forensic metadata verifying timestamps and digital signatures. The clerk distributed bound copies. The courtroom reverberated with the rustle of paper. Detective Aisha advanced the slideshow to a final video clip. Zanab's recorded laughter echoing, he signs anything if I ask. Gasps radiated through the gallery. Cameras flashed, immortalizing Kola's paling face. He mouthed, this is impossible. Outside, social media monitors tracked the live feed, and within moments #Exhibit Avalanche trended globally. Adeyemi Holdings' ticker symbol flashed red, an immediate 18% drop in share price. Within the tribunal, Mr. Dada sprang to object, but the judge's gavel silenced him. Admissible evidence, she declared. Murmurs swelled as spectators recited the intricate web of deception now laid bare. Across from Kola, Naomi met Onuyuru's eye, her expression resolute yet composed. In that instant, the power dynamic had irrevocably shifted. By midday, the exhibit Avalanche had reshaped opinion. Journalists clustered outside to interview witnesses. Headlines rotated, Adeyemi's secrets exposed, Mistress's voice dooms developer. For Naomi, this was the culmination of months of preparation. For Kola, it marked the beginning of a long fall from grace. Later, Kola's PR team scrambled in crisis, drafting apologies and scrubbing hashtags. Zanab's manager issued a distancing statement. Naomi slipped from the gallery to see Dada's crestfallen face as a drone captured her cool profile on the courthouse steps. That evening, talk shows replayed the presentation and dissected every moment. By sunset, the exhibit Avalanche had delivered its verdict, in both court and public opinion. As the judge paused to review the bound exhibits, Naomi closed her eyes, acknowledging the years she'd invested. Each chart and memo symbolized stolen dreams reclaimed. In the gallery, Saad watched from behind a bodyguard, pride glittering in her young gaze. This triumph was both legal victory and personal vindication. Under cross-examination, Justice Okoro shifted her gaze to Kola Adeyemi's wrist. There gleamed the Rolex he once presented to Naomi as a symbol of love, a glinting emblem of extravagance now twisted into evidence of vanity. The judge's voice cut through the hush. Mr. Adeyemi, she began, these documents show a separate shell account used to purchase this timepiece with company funds. How do you explain that? Kola's hand shook. He lifted his sleeve to conceal the watch, an almost instinctive act. His lawyer, Mr. Dada, whispered urgently, but the words were lost beneath the judge's next command. Present the purchase records, she ordered. At Onuyuru's nod, an assistant wheeled in a display cart holding binders and a framed jeweler's certificate. The certificate bore Kola's signature and an internal memo instructing procurement to code the Rolex purchase as office equipment. A projector illuminated an email chain between Kola and his CFO discussing the transaction. A murmur swept through the gallery. Zanab, seated off to the side, bit her lip. She had believed that her influence over Kola would secure his loyalty, but now watched him unravel. Kola cleared his throat, voice tight with anger and shame. Your Honor, this was standard practice. The judge raised a hand. Standard for whom? Explain why a marital gift appears in your corporate ledger. Cameras from the press gallery focused on his strained expression. Flashbulbs popped. In that silence, Kola realized the full weight of scrutiny. His palms felt heavy. He glanced at Naomi, whose steely calm unsettled him further. She met his eyes for a split second and then returned to her notes, her composure unshaken. When Kola stammered an apology that rang hollow, the judge dismissed his defense. The certificate is admissible, she declared. A hush fell before Mr. Dada suddenly rose to object, but the gavel banged sharply in his palm. Sustained, the judge proclaimed, with prejudice. Later that afternoon, social media pundits dissected the moment. An influencer posted a side-by-side of the certificate and video stills, dubbing it corporate greed. In WhatsApp groups, colleagues shared memes of slipping watches under scrutiny. At Adeyemi Holdings Crisis Center, strategists drafted emergency emails to investors, balancing apologies with vague promises of transparency. Each version rang hollow amid the courtroom fallout. By evening, no digital corner remained unturned. The Rolex slip became the decade's scandal. His mind raced. The symbol of commitment had become proof of deceit, leaving him hollow. The hallway's echo magnified his solitude. Meanwhile, Zanab, parked in a nearby office, watched the viral clip and gasped, realizing her own reputation was tarnished. She sank into a chair, phone trembling, and texted, "We need to talk." Inside the courtroom, Naomi closed her folio with a soft click, each exhibit reaffirming her resolve. Late afternoon in the cavernous courtroom, a tense silence settled as Barrister Anuyudo stood. He approached the bench with a sealed envelope tied in red ribbon. "Your Honor," he announced, voice measured, "my client offers settlement terms." He laid the envelope before the judge. One half of Adeyemi Holdings' listed assets, a public apology drafted by Mrs. Adeyemi, and sole custody of Saad. Murmurs rippled through the gallery. Kola Adeyemi's jaw clenched. His lawyer, Mr. Dada, leaned in, whispering, urging rejection. Kola inhaled sharply, raising a hand. "Your Honor, I would prefer to settle privately. But these terms seem excessive." Anuyudo pivoted, gaze fierce. "If Your Honor accepts, we also demand full restitution of 150 million Nigerian nairas stolen from Brightseed's expansion fund, a comprehensive forensic audit of all transactions, and a 50 million Nigerian nairas endowment to the Brightseed Scholarship Trust." A hush fell. The judge tapped her gavel. "I will allow private caucus." The courtroom emptied into separate anterooms. Kola's team conferred behind closed doors, while Naomi and Anuyudo discussed strategy over water carafes. Moments later, the bailiff called them back. Returning, the judge pronounced, "I find the restitution and audit requests reasonable. I urge Mr. Adeyemi to consider before tomorrow's proceedings." Court adjourns. Kola exited with a stiff nod, scanning the press. Flashbulbs erupted. Paparazzi shouted, "Will he agree? Half his fortune for silence?" Inside his car, Kola stared at the screen. His lawyer's warning echoed, "A trial verdict could cost you every naira." Meanwhile, news anchors debated the settlement's fallout. Pundits argued that conceding might salvage some trust. Others said public opinion was irreversible. On Twitter Spaces, activists rallied under #BrightSeaJustice, lauding Naomi's steadfast terms. Financial analysts recalculated Adeyemi Holdings' valuation, predicting hostile takeover bids. In his rearview mirror, Kola watched Zanab approach, pale under the streetlight. Their eyes met. She looked away. He realized every alliance had crumbled. Across town, Naomi leaned against her office window as the sunrise bathed her folio in gold light. Her phone buzzed. "I need to talk." She opened the message, thumb hovering. Then she typed, "I accept your call. Meet tomorrow at 9 o'clock in chambers." Kola's reply, "Agreed," appeared seconds later. By morning, the envelope on the bench would symbolize not just restitution, but his surrender. Meanwhile, Saad slept, unaware of the battles shaping her future. The next morning, cameras lined the courthouse steps. Kola Adeyemi emerged flanked by corporate attorneys and PR consultants. Before the press, he adjusted his tie and cleared his throat. In his trembling hand, he held a typed statement prepared under Naomi's direction. Reporters shouted questions. "Mr. Adeyemi, did you forge your wife's signature? Will you compensate Brightseed?" He took a deep breath. "I stand before you humbled. I acknowledge that I violated my marriage vows and breached the trust of my wife, Naomi Adeyemi. I improperly diverted funds intended for educational purposes, and for that I apologize. Effective immediately, I will transfer 200 million Nigerian nairas to the Brightseed Scholarship Trust and resign as CEO of Adeyemi Holdings pending regulatory review." Flashbulbs popped as Naomi watched from behind a protective barrier. Zainab's tearful taxi interview ran on loop across news channels. She recounted her regret for enabling his schemes. In that moment, Kola's apology was overshadowed by dual narratives: the contrite husband and the remorseful mistress. Inside, the Adeyemi Holdings board convened. The interim female CFO read the statement aloud, her voice resolute. "We accept his resignation. We commit to ethical leadership." In the lobby, investors exchanged nods, some approving the decisive action, others still skeptical. Meanwhile, Naomi returned to her office, removing her glasses with a sigh. She opened her laptop to read live social media reactions. Hashtag Justice for Naomi trended beside hashtag Mistress no more. Comments lauded her composure. She drafted a brief press release congratulating Brightseed's expansion funded by the Apology Pledge. At home, Saad watched the broadcast with wide eyes. Naomi joined her on the couch. Change begins with responsibility, she said gently. Saad nodded, proud of her mother's achievement. By noon, Kola delivered his apology at an emergency board meeting. Directors signed resolutions launching internal investigations. He overheard one remark, ethics first. In a corner office, Zanab packed her desk, vowing to rebrand as a wellness influencer preaching integrity over shortcuts. She paused at a framed photo of happier days, then exited with head held high. Meanwhile, Naomi prepared for her TEDx talk that afternoon. She drafted remarks on systemic inequality, weaving her legal triumph with broader lessons. Accountability transforms power. Saad delivered a hand-drawn poster reading "Mommy is a hero," which Naomi slipped into her laptop bag. Pride and purpose mingled in her chest. In the evening news cycle, anchors recapped the week's whirlwind. Divorce to fraud exposure, ending in apology and corporate upheaval. Influencers replayed Kola's statement alongside Naomi's vlogs of forensic evidence, contrasting deception versus diligence. As dusk fell, Naomi shut her laptop, the glow of notifications dimming. She gazed at the Lagos skyline, resolved to build a legacy beyond litigation. Tomorrow she would inaugurate Brightseed Labs in Abuja. Tonight she celebrated justice restored. 6 months later, Brightseed headquarters stood in the heart of Lagos as a refurbished community library and tech incubator. Banners reading "Phoenix Rising" fluttered in the morning breeze. Naomi Adeyemi, now CEO of her own conglomerate, stepped onto the stage, greeted by applause from students, educators and tech entrepreneurs. She wore her signature white and gold suit, the same ensemble that had become a symbol of her triumph. She surveyed the crowd, spotting Saad leading a group of scholarship recipients. Cameras rolled for a live broadcast. Naomi lifted the microphone. "Today," she began, voice steady, "we celebrate more than a building. We honor resilience, accountability, and the power of community." Behind the scenes, the interim Adeyemi Holdings CFO signed off on new ethics training programs and compliance audits. Investors monitored the company's turnaround, citing Naomi's vision as inspiration. At a nearby cafe, former board members toasted Brightseed's rapid growth, pledging support for her next initiative, Rural STEM Labs. In the VIP tent, Zanab attended quietly. She had launched Wellness by Z, a platform promoting self-worth over status. She approached Naomi after the keynote. "Your story inspires me," she said, eyes sincere. Naomi offered a genuine smile and a handshake. "Redemption is possible," she replied. Kola Adeyemi, stripped of CEO status, spoke at a corporate responsibility summit under a suspended sentence. He shared lessons from his downfall, warning executives of ethical pitfalls. His remarks were met with polite applause, but whispers persisted. He admitted, "I was consumed by greed. I lost everything. Now I build accountability." In Abuja, Naomi inaugurated Brightseed Labs at a government-funded campus, greeted by ministers, students, and international partners pledging grants for rural initiatives. Her Brightseed board of educators and technologists voted to open 10 STEM labs across northern Nigeria. Naomi declared, "Access to knowledge is power," inspiring applause. Zanab returned to the library courtyard for an Instagram live, sharing lessons on self-worth and integrity. Followers praised her honesty. Kola, no longer CEO, toured universities delivering lectures on corporate ethics and accountability. Each engagement showcased a man seeking to atone. Within hours, news outlets reported 100,000 new registrations on Brightseed's platform. Tech publications hailed it as Africa's fastest-growing edtech venture. Major donors pledged matching funds for girls' coding workshops. UNESCO dispatched a delegation to study the library labs. This momentum proved that transparent leadership fuels sustainable change. As fireworks faded, Naomi cradled Saad, horizon ablaze with possibility. Tomorrow she would launch a Pan-African scholarship fund. The phoenix had risen, and still soared toward uncharted skies. Liked it? Thumbs up, subscribe and join the AfriHeart fam. Your support fuels our stories. Until next time.